Hello everyone, Marissa Miller here, and if you are new, then welcome to my channel, and if you are not new, then welcome back. I am an author illustrator, and I've currently published 2 children's books. The first is a picture book called Chasing Figments, and the second is a middle grade book called The Grim and the Fantastic. Both are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online book retailing resources if you're interested in checking them out. So for today, I just wanted to do a video update about my publishing diaries. I think I only did one for August, and today is August 31st, and so I just kind of wanted to go over what happened there, and I guess getting back on track and where that's going. Real quick, if you are interested in following my Publishing Diaries series, which is documenting my progress going from finishing writing a book to publishing it, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you would like to be notified of when I post new videos. Also, I would really appreciate it if you like this video. If you could give it a thumbs up, that also helps me out, and I would appreciate it very much. Alright, so what happened during August? Basically, August was kind of supposed to be a month in my Publishing Diaries list out of what I was supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be something that was more for like preparation and everything for doing marketing. So something that I've said all along was that my publishing deadline was very contingent on whether my copyright was approved or not, and the fastest that I had a copyright approved was 1 month. That was for The Grim and the Fantastic. It took 2 months for Chasing Figments, and since plane. Chasing Figments took 2 months, and so with COVID and everything, I kind of just assumed that things were going to be backed up and it would take potentially like a lot longer. The website does say that for digital copyright forms it is 4 to 7 months typically. A lot of websites will say it's about 3 months for you to get your copyright approved and everything. So basically, I assumed that there was a very high chance that my copyright was not going to be approved by my original intended deadline, which was set for October at some point. So I kind of was losing motivation a little bit because I assumed that, oh, my copyright's not going to be done in time, and I'm going to do all these things, and I'm going to be trying to do all this like preparation, and I'm not going to be able to do it. And then we had some unexpected vet expenses with our new kitten. She kept getting into our adult cat food, and then she started acting really lethargic. And with kittens, if you've ever had a kitten, you know that like 1,000,005 things can go wrong with a kitten, and it can be fatal. So when she was acting all like listless and unenergetic and everything, we were able to get her to eat, but she just was acting weird, and so we ended up having to take her to an emergency vet appointment. It turns out she was just really constipated from eating the adult cat food and just needed to have a good poop. So it took a while, but she did, and she's fine now. But long story short with that is that that did take up some unexpected funds because it was technically an emergency appointment, because again, with the kitten, they were like, oh, she's not being very responsive, or not wanting to move around a lot, like get her in right away. So of course the fees for that are a lot more expensive than a general appointment. That, and then we're at that lovely age now of that Diggory is old enough to finally be fixed, so we're getting into the appointments and everything for that. Plus kitten needs new shots and all that. So there's just been a lot of animal expenses kind of hitting a little bit more like together than we initially planned for. So I was deliberating, basically just going ahead and saying, like, I'm not going to have my copyright in time. Like, we have put out a lot of expenses. Let's go ahead and wait, and I guess maybe I'll just wait until maybe like the first of the year or something, like in January, and I'll publish then. So anyway, I, on a whim, yesterday logged on to copyright.gov on my account because I was actually going to check and see if my Diggory is commentating. I was going to check on my Grim and the Fantastic, my secondary copyright that I did after it was published when I sent in my mandatory deposit, because it hasn't been approved yet. It still says open. So, and that's another reason why I assumed that the Copyright Office was kind of backed up, because Chasing Pigments didn't take super long for them to approve the secondary copyright. So I'm not really sure what the hold up is with Grim and the Fantastic, but I thought I would check in and see if it had been approved. So I log on, and on the front screen, it lists your open cases, right? So my open cases are the secondary Grim and the Fantastic and the When Wicked Runs West copyright applications. So I log on and I only see the Grim and the Fantastic. So I'm like, oh shoot, did I not like hit submit? Did I do something wrong? Like, and I go and I click over and I'm like, there's no way, it hasn't even been a month yet. So I click over onto the list of all cases where it says all the cases that you've ever put in and everything, whether it's been finalized, discarded, closed, you know, whatever. And I go to that list and I see at the top that When Wicked Runs West has already been closed, which means that I wasn't contacted about anything. So I think it's safe to assume that there weren't any issues with it. And it was approved in less than a month, which is crazy. That's the fastest it's gone for me. So that was awesome. Was not anticipating that at all. So it was kind of a pleasant surprise last night. So I ended up, my dog is barking at other dogs outside. So I ended up kind of reevaluating what I was going to be doing, basically. And my husband, who is wonderful, is super supportive and was saying that, yeah, go ahead and publish in October. Like, that's not a big deal. So I'm thinking that I'm going to be staying on track with that. But the downside is that I definitely fell into a small pit of despair during August and was really unmotivated. So I didn't get done everything that I wanted to get done in August, because I'd kind of already made up my mind that there wasn't a point to doing it yet and I could space it out more. So that means that if I stay on my projected trajectory for publishing, basically most of what I had planned for doing in August also has to be accomplished in September. So that'll be a lot, but I think I'm going to go ahead and try to do it and just kind of keep moving forward. I contacted Gatekeeper Press, which is the publishing company, the hybrid publishing company that I use for publishing. I asked them, I sent them an email inquiry just asking about potentially setting up selecting an actual release date, and for trying to do pre-orders, and I'm waiting to hear back on that. Hopefully they'll get back. They're usually really fast about responding, so unless they're like shut down completely from COVID and everything, which I don't think they are, because I did contact my author manager, Sarah. There's so many loud planes flying overhead. My author manager, Sarah, I did contact her earlier in the year, and I think that was after all the shutdowns and everything, so I do think that they're still operating. So hopefully they'll get back to me really fast and I can move on from there. Another thing I just wanted to talk about was kind of, I guess, the waves of emotions that come into play when self-publishing, especially when you're self-publishing and you don't have much of a budget. Basically, my little pit of despair that I went into was largely because I felt like I couldn't do anything because I didn't have excess money to put into you know, like publicity and all these things. And I look at these other like indie authors that I admire, and I see these things that they do, and I look into doing it, and then it's kind of like, oh well, I see that costs money. Like, obviously lots of services and things cost money. It's like, I'm not ignorant of that, but like I'll look up certain things and then it's just like, oh, that's, you know, that's out of my price range, or that's too expensive, or I probably can't afford to do that and do the publishing fees, you know, by October. And so I started just kind of getting into this slump of that, you know, I write because I enjoy writing. And I think that's true of most authors, you know. You don't really go into publishing books thinking that like, oh, I'm gonna have this huge following and make all this money and everything. Like, you usually, when you become a writer and publish, it's because you have a love of writing and you want to just share it. So I didn't ever have expectations that I would be like super successful per se, but that doesn't mean that when you're in the middle of it, you don't end up feeling discouraged when you see, low sales, or, you're trying, especially with, all the COVID stuff, you're really trying on all the digital marketing and you're trying all the same things as other people and you see it working for some people and you wonder, why isn't it working for me? I'm trying to do the same things, and it can just feel very discouraging when, you are trying to put all this effort into promoting things and it's just not going anywhere. So when I decided that I was going to push off publishing, I'd kind of gone back to trying to figure out ways to promote my 2 current books. Again, because I'd kind of fallen off with doing that, which I, should keep up with anyway. But so I started trying to promote my other 2 books more again. And, it's just hard because there are these things that you're supposed to do if you do any amount of research into like social media things, or you ask people where it works for them. That's the 3rd loud plane that's gone overhead. I wonder if they're the the big planes that are going for the fires here in California. Maybe that's so it just like, you see, okay, I'm supposed to ask questions on my posts to get engagement, because if I get engagement, then the Instagram algorithm will start promoting, or not promoting, but like making me more prominent. And if I get more prominent, then I'll get more followers, and if I get more followers, then I'll get more customers, and then I'll be able to share my book with more people. And so it was like hard because I was trying to like do that stuff and I was really keeping up with it for a while, and then I was seeing that like, okay, I'm not really getting comments, I'm not getting engagement. I get a certain range of likes, but it's not really anything. And even if I do spend a little bit of money on doing the promoted ads, like on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, that tends to get my likes up, so it is seen by more, but I don't, in the analytics, I don't get like clicks to my website, I don't get clicks to my profile, I don't get follows out of it or anything like that. Like, I just get the likes, and I do think that the likes are helpful, but I think that the algorithm is more complicated than that. So anyway, it was just becoming something where it was kind of hurting my self-esteem, because I just couldn't see anything yielding from it, and I felt like there must be something about me and what I'm doing. Maybe I'm not personable enough. I'm not necessarily a super bubbly person, so I don't know if maybe it's just like boring to watch my videos, or like my posts are high quality enough. And so I just went down that rabbit hole of like what if I had, a nicer camera? What if I had a better editing software? What if I were a better illustrator? What if I were, had more money to do this? What if I could invest in these things and make a higher quality thing? Maybe my stuff isn't that good. Maybe my stuff isn't high quality enough. And it just was really weighing down. And it was basically like that for all of August, and actually up until really yesterday, when I ended up looking up and seeing that my copyright had been approved. It did kind of spark some enthusiasm and motivation again to work on it. I think that it's been kind of hard because I have been doing children's books. The market for children's books is especially difficult to be successful in. Children's books, like picture books, they tend to be more expensive because the cost of printing. So if you're going to have something in color, it's full of images and everything, and you usually do picture books hardbound, so then the cost of printing racks up, so then you have to set your cost of sale higher, because there's the cost of printing, and then there's the chunk that the distributors are going to take out of it, and then you're left with like $1 or $2 at the end of that. So if you want to make any money off of the book at all, then you have to set it kind of expensive, which is why picture books are usually, like $15-20. even though they're small, is because of the cost that goes into printing. I was just like feeling like, okay, no one wants to spend money on my picture book. Like, I'm already like an unknown author. Why would anyone want to spend it? And I get good feedback when people do buy it and they read it, and that's great, and that's always super encouraging. Which is why also, hey, if you like something, leave a review, because it can be very encouraging to the author when they are feeling, particularly down about what they're accomplishing with sharing their works. And the other big thing was with the Grim and the Fantastic, it does cover the topic of children with cancer. And so I have tried to reach out to different like cancer organizations, different things. And it's just really hard in general to reach anybody, to get like an actual person to respond to you. And it's kind of tricky too, because like, I don't know, I would do something like a giveaway where I could be like, oh, half the sales of these of the Grim and the Fantastic, like, oh, I'm choking. If you order between this date and this date or whatever, half the sales are going to be donated towards, this children with cancer like foundation type thing. And something, but I don't have the confidence that I would be able to actually follow through with it, because I don't have the confidence that I would necessarily get sales enough to do it. So I'm working on that, and I'm trying to be more confident. I kind of feel like the children's book thing, that was a good place for me to start with publishing, but I'm thinking and hoping that since I am branching out into like young adult now, and then, other books that I have in progress range from picture books to, regular adult fiction, that maybe I'll get a little bit more of an audience, because people are more receptive to engaging with young adults. Even the promotional stuff that I've done so far for this publishing process has been a lot more engaged, and it might just be the people that I've met since I've done my last one, but there's been a lot more engagement in general for this young adult novel, and I haven't even released anything besides the title so far. So I think that maybe gearing into that market is going to be helpful. But anyway, basically that is just kind of my talking at you update, talking a little bit about the discouragement that I felt, trying to get back on the horse, and just, trying to remember to stay encouraged in that even when you feel like you're not doing so well, if you just kind of keep pushing through and stuff, like good news will come from somewhere at some point. I found a couple of instances now, like when I'm feeling my lowest about my publishing endeavors in general and being an author, that something good has happened shortly after I've basically had a mini meltdown about it. So I think it's important to just remember to keep moving forward and stay encouraged, and just know that, keep focused on the goal, which is that I've written this story and I want to share it with as many people as possible, and less, like, obviously in order to do that, marketing is important, but like less on the fact that like, oh, this picture only got this many likes, or this ad didn't get anyone to my profile, or I didn't get any followers this, well, for me it's usually this week, this month, something like that, not even every day, but that sort of thing. And if you can just keep focused on the fact that it's doing something that you love and just enjoy it, then I think that you can survive the lows in order to reach the highs. So that is kind of what I have. I know this wasn't super much on like publishing stuff, but I felt like I should talk a little bit about some of the feelings that go. I mean, it is part of the process that, like, when you're an author and you're self-publishing and you have all this responsibility weighing on you, and you're the only person doing it, and maybe you don't have very much money, so you really do have to do everything yourself. it can, you know, it's part of the process that sometimes you feel so discouraged that you feel kind of like giving up or pushing it off. And yeah, that's a very real part of having to do this all yourself. It's a real part of being an author in general, or a creative, an artist in any sort of way, because you know, even if you go the traditional publishing route, you get so many rejection letters and, you know, unresponsiveness to your queries and all that. So I just think that it's important to talk about some of the actual like feelings and you know, the mental side of it, I guess, that goes into publishing as well. And since I didn't accomplish very much on my August list, I think that, you know, may as well just talk about that. And then next time I'm back with a video, I can update more about the progress that I've made in the other areas, with lumping August into September, and hopefully I can get it all done. So anyway, that is everything for today, and thanks for stopping by. Again, if you like my videos, give it a thumbs up, and if you are interested in following more of them, then go ahead and hit the subscribe and notification bell. Very much so appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.